Frank, thank you for coming to this interview. It's a pleasure to have you here. And our first question is, what inspired you to get into NFTs and how have you seen the industry evolve over the past few years?
I've been always participated in new technologies. I started my career and my investment in fintech. So a lot of things in finance world, in technologies, in the emerging markets. Then we started to do machine learning and AI things since 7-8 years ago. Then we moved to games. Actually, I'm quite into games. We do mobile games, PC console games, development and publish, and also esports. When a lot of big brands and big names get into esports, we started to do that as well. We work with like Premier League, with a lot of footballers. So I'm always into new things, new stuff. Now when NFT and crypto getting very hyped in the last few years, we step into it. So we started from a game studio. We make games, we make videos, models, all the kind of things. So for us, it's very easy to switch from Web 2 to Web 3 actually. It caught our eyes because it's very new and it's very different. So NFTs and cryptos, they just work in a different way, like other than what we get used to it. So yeah, that was my initiation actually into NFT. And in the past few years, we've been a lot of bull markets. We've been to a lot of bear markets, like even more, like now. And we survived. And also we have created a lot of different projects and try to give the markets and give the audience different sorts and different concepts. So yeah, we are working very well actually now. I've been working quite a lot of times every day actually on it with the team.
How do you think NFTs will change the way we think about ownership and also value in this new digital world that we're creating?
So as I said, it's very different to what we known to the world, what we are familiar with. In Web3, in NFT token or crypto world, the ownership recorded in on blockchain rather than recognized by public figures or by organizations. Like the world we are familiar with, our data, our identity, our information are stored with some of the third party we call it. But on NFT, on blockchain, it's a public recognition. So everyone recognizes it, everyone try to record the information by themselves. In this world, we don't need others. We don't need a few people to recognize our ownership. So we don't have any question regarding verification. We don't have any problems with authentication because they are recorded and they are solid. They can never be changed. So that's kind of a very different concept to what we thought as what we get used to now, or like in the last thousands of years in human history, which I think is quite innovative and very fantastic. So in the value of NFTs or other kind of crypto assets, I had a speech last year in NFT London. It was about digital assets valuation actually. So I was thinking about, okay, so the value of an asset should be defined by either the privilege of the holdings or the passive income or active income from the asset itself. So I think that concept also applies to crypto assets, to any digital assets. Like, we should get something from it. Like Bored Apes or Azuki or any other kind of so-called blue chip projects, they give you a chance to enter a community or group of people where they have exclusive resources or exclusive chances to earn whitelists or earn more assets from it. Or other things like some of the exchanges or some of the Web3 organizations, they offer different things when you stake your NFTs with them. Say like Bored Apes again. it's the largest NFT anyway. So when you stake Bored Ape with some of the institutions, they give you interest, basically, that easy. So you earn money from holdings and you earn privilege by holding the NFT assets. I think that gives some value to it, and then that gives all the project teams an idea how an NFT as a digital asset can benefit the holders or can benefit the community itself.
Obviously, we talked about the potential benefits of this technology, but NFTs as a whole, there's some, let's say, ethical or environmental concerns that have arisen, and NFTs generally tend to get some, let's say, bad press. So how have you seen these concerns being raised, and how do you address them in the work that you do every day in your project?
So yes, I mean, the biggest concern, I believe, in Web3 or Metaverse will be the ethical problem, will be fraud. So everyone is facing scams, or everyone is worried about if it's safe or if it's a fraud or scam. I mean, it happens in not only Web3, in conclusion, but it happens quite frequently in Web3, just simply because the nature of the blockchain, how it works, once you have the private key, you have the whole control of the account, basically. So it can never be inevitably avoided or be prevented from someone scamming or trying to take private keys from the holders. We always see news every day, everywhere, like someone lost their private key, they lost 1 million, 10 millions, or even more. And even some of the celebrities, they lost a lot of digital assets because of losing or compromised their memorable phrases or the private key. The only thing different to your bank account being hacked will be once it's lost, it's lost. So anyone can spend it or can transfer into their own wallet. I think a lot of Web3 companies, they started to do something to it. So for example, on OpenSea, which is the largest marketplace in NFT, they flag any NFT that has been reported as a scam or as a loss. I think then people, when they buy it, they will be flagged and they won't be able to sell it or list it on the marketplace. I think that highly prevented further crime on the trade. I mean, if we can't trade it, it's no point to store it into it. And then that a lot of kind of like we called aggregates marketplace has also kind of like integrated that flag into that system. So when you search a listing on the major markets, you will see something. If it's stolen or scam, then they won't be able to trade, or they are very, very low priced. And I mean, it's a very community oriented thing when people see that's being flagged as stolen piece. And if someone buy it, they will really not into that. I mean, they are not the original member of that community. That's a kind of like a public recognition. So it's kind of like inevitable, but I think that's something a lot of different projects can improve in the way people see it, or in the way they restrict and that kind of things, that kind of concerns. Regarding environmental issues, I believe we're talking about, say, carbon release or emissions there. That's been criticized by a lot of parties for minings, basically. For Ethereum, for Bitcoin, the mining does consume a lot of energy, a lot of electricity. So I can see a lot of companies and a lot of like charity size, charity type of NFT projects or Web3 projects. They have done a lot of things to try to kind of like raise awareness of the environmental issues in this world. I mean, every new technology involves some kind of resource consumption. And I believe at the beginning, it's kind of a mess. But as time goes on, or as the technology developed, it will get somewhere which makes it more balanced.
On an exciting point of view, let's talk about you and the projects and initiatives you're driving forward. And could you tell us a bit more about what you're currently working on, what you're excited about, and what we can expect to see from you in the coming months?
What we've done is we are kind of like a very comprehensive company. We make NFTs. We start from scratch, from design, from tokenomics, from the art and 3D models into games, into NFTs, fashion pieces, physical items, and it's kind of like we're making a whole large ecosystem rather than one side of Web3. So we're always saying, if it's just an NFT piece, it's just an art piece there. But we want to make it useful, and we want to make it like covering a large audience there. Because most of the NFT projects, they only have 10,000 pieces or even less, which is kind of a standard in the industry. But what we think is like, okay, if it's 10,000 pieces and 10,000 holders maximum, which can never be reached, it's too small. I mean, it's too small for an industry to grow, if you get what I mean. So we're always thinking like we should find some way, we should explore further opportunities to get more audience, basically. So once the audience is big enough, we believe the whole industry can benefit from that. That's why once we make a project, it's a kind of like an all-in-one project there. The feature projects we make is called Tori Zero. It was the first we called digital influencer in blockchain or in Web3 industry. It was a character-based model, but it's part of a very large story background. But it's one of the characters there, and it's half human, half mechanical body. We have been working with, say, BWL, Bill Leather, which is a jewelry silverware designer based in the US. And we've been working with Wirex, one of the major crypto payment card solution provider there for a co-branded card. And a lot of different companies like fashion and even like travel platforms. We launched a program called Travel with Tori. So we encourage our holders, our community to travel, to explore the world. Then we will give simply cashback to every trip they made through us. We don't want to restrict ourselves as a Web3 company, but we want to identify ourselves as a technology company. So when the model moves in on the screen or in any of the games, they are working naturally as human. So these can apply to all the fashion shows, all the kind of presentations that we have this 3D model getting involved. And also, even on the face, we have micro facial expression technology there. So every blink, every kind of like a smile, they are very naturally designed and very naturally captured with human motions.
We're talking about the benefits and the exciting parts of what you're working on at the moment. What challenges do you think the NFT industry as a whole could be facing at present or in the future? Because that's something that, obviously, as a project manager and consultant, it's something that you have to deal with generally. So your advice and input on that would be great.
One of the most trendy topic in NFT industry as a whole will be, I think, the utility. So we got crypto markets from 2008, very early. And then that's when the Bitcoin and other some kind of similar coins coming from. But that's the first stage. We have a lot of coins, Aircoin or any kind of like random faked coins coming into markets, and which raises a trend of ICO, the initial coin offering. Then people kind of started to play with it to kind of like stimulate the market. But it doesn't work after a couple of years. People just find like, okay, so what can we use from it? They don't have any utility behind it. Then we move into 2017 when CryptoPunk, when CryptoKitties started to be launched in the market. Okay, people started to think, okay, we based on blockchain technology, we can have pictures, we can have games on it. And that's when cryptos, or that's what, I mean, NFT is a crypto. It's a certain type of crypto anyway. So a crypto should have some utility. People should get some benefit or some use from it. Utility is always a kind of like a forever topic in NFT world, and I think that's actually a challenge. See, like last year, a very hot topic, a very hot utility called Passcard was introduced. So it's like a membership card basically. Once you hold the NFT, you get some exclusive benefit or perks because you are holding it. And it's being introduced to connect different projects. But there was a very solid problem behind it, which is how long it can take until. So after, say, months, their resources, or like less new projects or less good projects in the market, or the bear market coming, or the whitelist and airdrops doesn't make too much money, the value of the passcard dropped. And then for the profile picture style or art style NFTs, once people, I mean, you can't use your profile picture forever. So it will be changed in some way. And if you lose the value, a lot of people just don't use it anymore. So I think from my point of view, in the industry, none of the companies or none of the projects has found a way to maintain a utility of a NFT for a very long time. There's none of them. So utility of NFT for long term is always a problem. And I think that's a challenge for everyone in the industry.
From a Web2 intersection with Web3 perspective, what advice would you give to businesses that, for example, are interested in exploring the potential of this new technology?
A very strange thing is when a Web2, a very traditional Web2 company steps into Web3, a lot of people, a lot of users of Web3 think, what are they going to do here and why are they here? I saw a lot of questions about this. Even they are very big brands, like I mentioned above, Louis Vuitton or Dolce & Gabbana or some other brands, some fashion brands or luxury brands, they stepped into the market. They make an NFT, they sell it, and there's nothing further. So they take it as a product of theirs. See, like the co-branded necklace between CryptoPunk and Tiffany. They did take hundreds of pieces as a co-branded product, and they sell as a product, but it doesn't actually extend Web3 concept, or it doesn't actually explore or kind of expand the audience size. It doesn't help Web3 development. They are still a Web2 project. There's no difference between Tiffany work with any other brands, Disney, Pokemon, or anything. It doesn't make any difference to it. So Web3 users see it as pointless, I can tell. It's a little bit like pointless effort from Web2 company into Web3. So when they step into it, they need to change the way they think. So when we launch a product in Web2, we always design, improve, or launch it, further improvement to the project, to the product. But in Web3, it doesn't work like that. Because of the nature of blockchain, everything is preset. How many you want to launch, what kind of price you're going to launch, how many holders can mint it, what's a trading style, can it be a burn, can it be exchange, can it be done any kind of further things. Then you launch the project. So everything is kind of preset before you sell the product. So you don't actually have second chance to improve it. We see a lot of cars, a lot of vehicles on the street. They got recalls. They got recalls always because they have some fault in some of their designs. They always improve it or change it, but it doesn't work in Web3. So for any Web2 companies starting to enter Web3 world to provide projects, to provide products or services, I think the biggest challenge for them, or the very initial concept for them to understand, is there's no way back. It's a one-shot thing.
We've talking about, we hear a lot about the concept of tokenization in the NFT industry, and it'd be great to hear your insights and your thoughts about how do you decide what NFTs to tokenize, which assets to tokenize, and what criteria, if any, do you use when determining which assets to actually go on and tokenize?
So we've been talking about what kind of asset is suitable, or what kind of things, product is suitable to be tokenized. Because obviously, not everything is suitable, but everything can try. It's a very new world. A lot of people has tried launching product on Web3, like the design fashion pieces as digital clothing, digital shoes. People buy membership cards or called pass card or any kind of similar NFTs to get a privilege for their early launching event, something like that. So I think those products which requires a high level of identification is suitable to be tokenized. So I can we see Starbucks started to launch their NFTs as well. It's very similar to their membership cards, but they have some slightly different features in Web3, in further drops or further token drops in the future potentially. A bad example for some luxury brands or fashion brands, they launch their designs on Web3 and as an NFT, and that's it. They never have the plan to make it feasible, like make it as a physical item, or they never say there is some perk or some benefits for the holders to get in the further rounds, either in Web2 or Web3. They don't have it. They just give it a try. It's more like a company task. It sounds like it's a little bit like a company task. They assign to a team saying like, okay, you try something in Web3. They create an NFT and then they go away. Those kind of concepts, I would say, they are not suitable. If a company or if the project or the organization want to reward a group of people, their audience, their customers, their community, token rather than points will be a more fair way to give out the reward, because one, they are recorded on blockchain, they can never be stipulated, or they can never be changed. Two, you can use it as a very accurate identification method to kind of like to find your end customer. I always encourage projects funders, project teams to design a tokenomics behind their economic system. So it kind of gives them a very different kind of thought, and it solves a lot of problems with them. Yeah, so any kind of product that requires both trading volume and also identification should consider their tokenization.
It'd be great to hear your input on the new opportunities that, beyond simply NFTs and simply what we call crypto, the intersection that there could be potentially between using NFTs and other emerging technologies like the metaverse. How do you see these technologies working together, if at all?
I think metaverse specifically is restricted by some hardware technology. So for example, when we talk about VR, and we see VR is the most straight way to experience metaverse, but the VR sets, the VR hardware at the moment, they are either very heavy or they are not suitable for long-term wearing. So those kind of restrictions in hardware kind of limit the boundary of metaverse development now. You can only use your consoles or desktop to try what's inside. And a lot of people will say, okay, it's not as cool as we thought it should be. But I mean, what is behind metaverse? We created games, we created a lot of great games in last century, and a lot of them have millions or tens of millions of users there. And the fun is, it is a metaverse. The difference between that metaverse and the metaverse now is they're not on blockchain. They're controlled by a centralized organization. But I mean, the concept, why game developed very well in Web3 world is because the gamers or the game itself created a world where it contains everything a metaverse should contain. So a game is naturally a prototype of metaverse. And then, but the difference will be how you interact with the metaverse. It should somehow integrate back to our Web2 world. That's always my concept. A Web3 shouldn't be standing alone in the market or in anywhere. It can't be a virtual thing. It should have some way that the users can interact with Web2, with our physical world. Then at that point, it's a mature revolution, I would say. Otherwise, it's not. It's too virtual. But movie technologies does give a lot of inspirations in Web3 when we're creating a world, or when we create the avatar or models in the games or in some of the other apps. So yes, I mean, integrating between mature technologies with Web3 is something I would focus more on rather than something too new. They're not mature enough to support a whole industrial level revolution.
We've spoken about your experience in the gaming industry and how much insight you have into that. And a lot of the news, let's say, the crypto space and generally in Web2 companies entering the space is about how potentially the gaming industry, due to its exponential growth in the past few years, could be an avenue to onboard users onto the Web3 world. I was wondering if you had any insights into that as to how potentially gaming could play a role in Web3 bridging over to Web2 and vice versa.
Games play-to-earn model has been tested for a few years already. There are a lot of games earning money, either like both for the project side and for the player, for the gamer side. But a very common agreement, I was holding a kind of like a short space a couple of weeks ago talking about games and GameFis. We agree there's no great game in the industry in Web3 so far, because the model of the game was highly kind of like depending on the economic model, how they generate tokens, how they make money, and how they can financially benefit the users and the project, rather than game itself. I always kind of like express my thankfulness to Nintendo, because I think Nintendo games are highly fun. They're very, very fun, and they're highly inspirational, because like Zelda or like Pokemon, they can always create something that you never imagined, and you think, you put yourself into the world and you experience everything there, and you experience the game, and you've got what I can get from the game other than fun. Games are created to be fun, and crypto Web3 games didn't even reach it. They emphasize on earning rather than gaming. So when we talk about the further development of games, and I mean, it's very easy to imagine like why the big game development companies, they're not in Web3 yet. Because one is pointless. It's too small market for a game, for gaming, like comparing to gaming market. Two, the users are not there yet. If a game cannot generate enough financial benefit, they are abandoned very quickly in Web3. The changing Web3 industry is too fast for good projects, I always say that. So like the demand from the users or from the holders, from the community is indefinite. They can never be satisfied because it's a financial world and they always want something more. But for the project team, either they need time to realize some demand from the community Two, they should and they need some capacity to create those kind of things. And three, they only have one chance, which makes it very difficult for projects to be good. So if it's too risky to be a long-term project, everyone is aiming at short-term. And a game is a long-term thing. I play World of Warcraft for over 10, 12 years, 14 years now. It's a long-term game. Okay, it's not as good as before now, but it's still a very good game, and we have a 10 million people size community of common recognition of the game and of the game content. You can never imagine that in the crypto market, because it doesn't have anything other than social. It's a social game, it's a challenging game, people get a lot of different things from the game, and they don't rely on earning from the game or from any projects. But because of the nature of crypto, they are always related to financial benefit.
Frank, thank you so much for your insights today. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you and to hear all your incredible insights into the Web3 and Web2 world.
Great, no problem, thank you very much.